What's the worst news your child could ever tell you? Simon burst through our front door crying and screaming, "Mom, we need a knife right now!" He'd been playing in the woods behind our house all afternoon like he did every Saturday, but now he was gasping for air between sobs, and his shirt was torn from running through branches. Something dangerous happened. I dropped the laundry basket I was carrying and rushed to him. His eyes were wild with panic and his whole body was shaking. I tried to calm him down and ask what happened, but he broke away from me and yanked open the drawer and grabbed the biggest knife we had before I could stop him. Simon sprinted back outside with a knife in his hand. I had no choice but to chase after him, terrified of what he might do. He crashed through the bushes at the edge of our yard and into the woods. I followed close behind, calling his name, but he wouldn't stop or even look back. My heart was pounding as we ran deeper into the trees. The woods got thicker and darker the further we went. Simon knew these paths from years of playing here with his best friend Augie. They'd built forts and carved their initials in trees and spent entire summers exploring every inch. But he'd never run like this before, like his life depended on getting somewhere fast. I stumbled over roots trying to keep up. After what felt like forever, we reached a small clearing where the boys had built their main fort. Simon stopped so suddenly, I almost ran into him. Then I saw what he was looking at and my whole world tilted. Augie was hanging from a rope tied to a thick branch of their favorite climbing tree. His face was purple and his eyes were closed. He wasn't moving at all. "We have to cut him down, Mom! We can save him!" Simon screamed as he ran toward the tree with a knife raised. I caught him around the waist and pulled him back even as he fought against me. He kept screaming that Augie needed help and we had to hurry. I held him tight and turned his face into my shoulder so he couldn't see. I knew it was too late. Augie had been there for a while based on how still everything was. No wind moved his body and no breath came from his lips. But Simon kept struggling and crying that we needed to help his friend. I held my son as tight as I could while my own tears fell. This wasn't supposed to happen to 13-year-old boys. When Simon finally stopped fighting me, he collapsed to the ground. Through his sobs, he told me Augie had left him a treasure map that morning. It was supposed to be a fun game like they always played. The map led from Augie's house to the creek to the old barn and finally here. Simon thought he was going to find candy or baseball cards. Instead, he found his best friend. I called 911 with shaking hands while keeping Simon turned away from the tree. The operator stayed on the line while we waited for help. Simon told me Augie had been different lately. Quieter and sadder, but he thought it was just because school had been hard. Some older kids had been picking on Augie for months, calling him names and shoving him in the halls. The police and paramedics arrived along with Augie's parents. His mother's scream when she saw him will haunt me forever. They cut Augie down and tried to revive him even though we all knew it was too late. Simon watched them work on his friend and kept asking why Augie would do this. I didn't have any answers that would make sense to a 13-year-old. The whole town was devastated by Augie's death. He was a straight A student who played violin in the school orchestra. His suicide note talked about the daily torture of being bullied and feeling like nobody cared. He said he was tired of being afraid to go to school and tired of pretending everything was okay. The treasure hunt was his way of making sure Simon found him. I became obsessed with making sure this never happened again. I started attending every school board meeting and demanding better anti-bullying policies. I organized parent groups and brought in speakers to talk about mental health. The school finally hired more counselors and started taking reports of bullying seriously. But it all felt too late for Augie. Simon struggled for months afterward. He had nightmares about the clearing and refused to go back to the woods. He blamed himself for not seeing the signs or being a better friend. We started therapy together and slowly learned to live with the trauma. He still visits Augie's grave every week and tells him about school and sports. Last night he asked me to play Marvel Rivals with him just like Augie did, so I guess I'm learning to play video games now.